Okay, so in 1939 you were in Germany,
Yeah,
and what happened?
when we had to leave by train from Königstein, from Frankfurt, went up to Cologne, Keln, K-O, Diphthongs, L-N.
Uh-huh.
Keln, or Cologne you'd write, C-O-L-O-G-N-E.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to have that in Cologne? How we were escorted from the train to an empty, very clean factory room with beds and basic needs for us to stay overnight there while we waited for transportation to Brussels. And let's see, what's the name of the
The name of the town, or?
the seaport where
Oh.
came from. We had to stay in Brussels for about 2.5 weeks
Oh.
until we could get a reservation on the same on the Rotterdam. Let's see, what's the big boat that's supposedly one of the best in the world from Rotterdam, from...
Queen Mary?
No, that was American.
Oh. I don't know.
Oh, come on. I'll have to think of the name of that boat. I never thought I'd forget that name.
Oh.
Anyway, on this big liner that went from the seaport in Belgium down a channel past Rotterdam and out into the English Channel. You want me to mention?
Oh, so was that dangerous?
Well, they considered, of course, later we found out that was all propaganda.
Oh.
They claimed that bombs were falling and that as we came through Aix-la-Chapelle, or there's another name for it, which I can't think of it all. But Aix-la-Chapelle is where Champlain was his name,
Uh-huh.
the big emperor,
Yeah.
where he had been crowned. And when we came through that city of Aachen, or Aachen is A-A-C-H-E-N. The other name is Aix-la-Chapelle.
Uh-huh.
But we went through Aachen. By the time our train took us, well, should I go back and mention what happened in Cologne?
Uh-huh.
How well we were treated by trained Hayot Hitlerjugend, HJ,
Oh.
and they escorted us all over and saw that we get something to eat, like a soup, and we had friends whose parents we had met that were living on the outskirts of Cologne, and they gave us streetcar tickets, which the Hitlerjugend took us to in the morning so we could visit this family, the Grice family.
Oh.
And so we visited with them. And then at night we came back and stayed in this very clean factory. Oh, and I remember all the lights had been covered by green covers, so that if the bombers would come, they wouldn't see that there were lights.
They wouldn't see that anybody would. Oh, yeah.
But these Hitlerjugend were trained so well because Hitler was busy training them like Werner was trained like by the Hitlerjugend. He was a Hitlerjugend, HJ. And so anyway, we visited that family, the Grice, the grandparents, and then the next day we took from Cologne, we went to Brussels, which is the main city. Well, like in Wisconsin, Madison is the capital, but Milwaukee is the largest city.
Yeah.
Well, Brussels was the main city, but I think the seaport was the capital. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, we had to wait for 2.5 weeks in Brussels until we could go to that seaport and board the big ship liner of, my goodness, I know the name of that. I must have mentioned that in what I made out for you earlier. The name of the city, the seaport.
Yeah.
And then you want me to mention how we got on
On the boat.
on the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's see, I wanted to mention how we were cared for the entire time that we were being escorted. People came from all over Europe. Like we met people in Brussels who had come from Colombia, wealthy family, and they were returning from Italy. They had their boat, their car, on a large Italian ship called the Rex. In the harbor off of, no, I can't remember the seaport in Italy. But they had their car already on the boat to be transported back to the U.S., but because they were feared, it was feared that they would be bombed. They had them take their car off and drive through Italy and Switzerland, and then drive up to Brussels. That's where we met them on the boat, actually. But you met people from all over the world.
Uh-huh.
And you all had something in common, which made it very interesting.
Uh-huh.
And I remember the father of the group from Colombia. They were obviously very wealthy people. They were playing that tennis that you play on shipboard.
Oh, ping pong?
Mm.
No.
No, it's bigger. It's like a...
Like racquetball or something?
No, it was what the heck do you call that?
I don't know.
Well, it's got a string across, strings that you hit it over the string.
Oh, like volleyball or something?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the father came, I was just 18 at the time, and he invited me to play with him.
Uh-huh.
And what they had done to the boat was prepared for a lot of refugees like we all were. And they had a big cocktail room, and where they put bunks in. You had to pay first class fares, but the food and all the care was all first class.
Oh.
You know, that's like what they call cabin class.
Yeah.
And I remember one woman in there, she was so seasick. She kept vomiting out of her bed. I a couple of times had a squeezy feeling. So the captain told me, and at the table, the waiter told me to grab a hard roll and get out and look at the horizon.
Yeah.
And then I'd be okay. And did that help?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They had a wonderful big library there. We had plenty to read.
Oh.
They had activities.
So when you were going out, did it take longer than the boat ride when you came to Germany?
Oh, yeah. Going over was 8 days. Coming back it was 12 days.
Oh, how come?
Because the first, you had to sail in the middle of the night from the seaport there. Yeah, and all lights off on the boat as you pass Rotterdam to get out into the English Channel.
Uh-huh.
And then once you got out of the English Channel, that was quite frightening, because they said we may be bombed. Of course, little did we know that there was no bombing going on, but we were told there was.
Mm-hmm.
That's war.
Yeah. So was it frightening when you were leaving that
night in the darkness, that was frightening.
Yeah.
But, heck, I mean, nobody got hysterical.
Uh-huh.
Wasn't anything like that. We were all being very sensible.
Yeah.
We each had our special, you know, you have those like wicker chairs
Uh-huh.
on deck.
Uh-huh.
And you had your name, so you... Oh, and the food was just fantastic.
Oh.
The Holland American Line.
Oh.
I'm trying to think of the name of the boat, if that was Rotterdam or...
Yeah. So once you were on the boat and out of there, then your big ordeal or the frightening experience was all over because
yeah. Well, once
you
we
were
got
safe.
around England, the bottom, Southampton, then you had no fears when you were crossing the ocean.
Yeah.
We just had a good time.
Yeah.
But fully aware of them because when we were there that weekend in the first weekend, September 3rd or 4th, that's at church. Of course, we went to a French church. And I remember the priest was saying something about La Guerre, you know, that slur.
Yeah.
And so we went to Mass there. And then later we went back to our inn. And the woman, the innkeeper, she was screaming, "Oh, we're going to be invaded again," like we were in the First World War.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the food on that Holland American Line is just as good, and maybe it was even better at that time than now. Like for the main meal, they'd start with a big platter like this, that they'd come with all kinds of hors d'oeuvres.
Oh.
That's where I first ate eel.
Oh.
And all the fancy, well, you name it.
Yeah. Huh.
And so I thoroughly enjoyed that trip, and just being out on deck and looking at the water. And our trip was uneventful.
Uh-huh.
But after 12 days, when we got to New York City, I mean, we were all concerned about the war, everybody, that's what we talked about. But when we got to New York, then the 1939 World's Fair had opened and everybody was celebrating. And I'll never forget my feeling. We left Europe and Mr. Splutnik, you know, it was like you were walking there, you were like a little dwarf with a cloud over his head.
Yeah.
Remember Mr. Splutnik?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mr. Splutnik followed everybody along. Yeah.
In Europe. And then in New York, everybody was oblivious.
Well, then we had to get tickets to come back to the U.S. And of course we had spent an awful lot of money because our German tickets on the boat, we had North Archer Lloyd, a big German outfit. That was all down the drain. So German money wasn't good, yeah.
Yeah.
But then...
So then they, you had that stranger that lent you the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he actually paid for the tickets.
Yeah. Actually paid for them, yeah.
Yeah. And he paid, and he told the innkeeper that he would be responsible for all of the expenses while we stayed there for those 12 days.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, we immediately agreed certainly we would reimburse him for all that.
Yeah.
But I don't know how the heck we would have gotten out of there, because the American consul we went to in Frankfurt said, "Sorry, we can't pay anything to you to help you to leave. You got to get family to do that. We thought sure they could loan us some money.
Yeah.
I was shocked at that because other countries, all their governments were paying for it, but not the U.S.
Oh.
A lot of things you find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we got tickets on a bus. You know, like the Greyhound?
Yeah.
Must have been the Greyhound. And we got on that bus and to come back to Milwaukee. But I'll never forget, I had to go Pomses. I wonder if that's when I ruined my bowels. Because for several hours he said he cannot stop. And my tummy was real hard.
Oh.
Because it was all waiting to come out.
Yeah.
And he would not stop.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good I survived.
Yeah. Unstuck the bus. And they didn't have bathrooms on the bus.
No, not then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna...
Then